Am I done? Are we out of time?
Mm-hmm.
We're good?
Okay, let me do some questions.
Okay. I've answered all the questions. Cool. Oh no, there's my guy, dead ahead.
Like in Texas or starting.
You know, I used to think Addison. I used to think Texas. But as and this is how life is. As I get more successful here, and I say successful by that I mean I see more things being done that have mattered. In Texas, the form of government is different than the form of government here. In Texas, it's a council manager form of government. So you have a professional city manager, and he handles the day-to-day things. And I was kind of a title head, but being the what am I say, ADD kind of person that I am, I was extremely interested in what he was doing and how he was doing it and where he got his education, and which is why I went back and got an MPA, a Master's of Public Administration, because he was incredibly impressive. And you knew a little about a lot, or a lot about, some of the things that you had to do, and it was never the same. Every day was different. You never knew what was coming. It was always cool. So that was really good. And being a mayor there was really good because I love a big city. And that was the environment. It was really cool, and I got involved in a lot of things, and you saw a lot of stuff. But the difference is here, you do have a bigger impact here because you can see those things. You transform things in a way that you didn't in Addison. Addison was wonderful, y'all. Addison had, it's a 4.5 square mile town, northern suburb of Dallas, had a railroad line, had an airport, and we're talking about a little bitty place now, seriously. Had a airport, had the busiest one runway, single runway airport in the nation. Had the most restaurants per capita. I ate good. Most restaurants per capita in the nation. Had about a 50,000 population during the day, but a 15,000 population at night, because we had Mary Kay had their headquarters there. Tuesday Morning had their headquarters there. So we had a huge amount of high-rises, mid to high-rises with a lot of people in them. And so it was fascinating, and we were doing some incredibly creative things. We were some of the first ones that did mixed-use developments. We had a theater district. I mean, it was awesome. It really was. I forget how much fun it was now that I'm thinking about it. But it was a much more, and I'm going to be, somebody's going to get me on this because y'all going to say I said this, but it was a much more urban and sophisticated environment. I mean, it just was. You were much more urban. So that's different in that sense. But when you come back here and you can see a difference that's even greater, the incremental difference that you make is greater here than it was there. I could do this, but it didn't have nearly the impact of doing something here. So when we light a bridge, or we add a mural that we've never had, or we light the trees, or we add a restaurant, or we change our zoning, or we add an industrial park, or whatever it is we do, it has a much bigger impact in a positive way, please on a positive way, on your community than a community that's already fairly well developed and enveloped by something bigger and more urban. So I think I'm really going to say Starkville. And it's hard because if I go to Kroger, and I only want to be there for 10 minutes, I better go at 3 in the morning. Because the beauty or the problem with going to Kroger during the day when everybody's there, somebody's going to get you and talk to you about stuff. And I'm not going to blow them off because I really enjoy it. It's part of the fun of it. But it also can be the downside because my dogs are hungry or my ice cream is melting, right? But that makes it cool. So you do that and you make a difference, and that's really part of the fun of that. So anyway, there are ways to work around it, but I think Starkville is the answer. And Starkville's where I'm from. It's my hometown. It's where my daddy was the whole time. It's where my mother was a good portion of the time. So you like making a difference in your hometown. So, yes, ma'am.
Do you work with somebody that's able to help you gauge who's coming into the really impactful demographics in Starkville, like us students or certain sections of students that may need or may benefit from more attractions or more anything in Starkville?
hard to gather that data, but yes, the partnership tries to do that. You know, one of the things we have like Restaurant Week, so they gather the demographics of the people who come to eat in the restaurant, so we know where they're coming from. You try to learn about the community because you do want to cater to people who want to come into town and stay in town. So anytime y'all have an opportunity to give that kind of feedback, I would greatly appreciate that you do. And the census coming up, guys, you know, I don't know how many might need a job, but if y'all haven't noticed the paper, the census is hiring. And it's temporary work, but it's flexible and it's full-time, and it's $14 an hour. So, you know, it's pretty good. It's pretty good pay. So that if y'all want to have some work and need some work for maybe the summer, that'd be a good way to do that. But the census is coming up, and that information and those demographics are incredibly important to us as Starkville. So I would beg you on bended knee to fill out those census forms here, so that we can understand who our people are, because out of the census is going to come opportunities for grants, opportunities for other participative, thank you, options from federal programs, but it also is going to come demographics from which we will then do a redistricting in our city limits. So it's incredibly important, and I would really ask that y'all consider the level of importance, because it makes a difference in how we structure our community and how we move forward for the next 10 years. I mean, seriously, Starkville has been gaining population, Columbus has been losing population. And so all of that matters as people look at a community for where they're going to land their business. Do you want to go to a community that's losing population, or do you want to go to a community that's gaining population? So we're much more likely to get a business coming into town showing growth than a city that's not showing growth. And I don't mean to be ugly to Columbus, that's just factual right now. So, you know, they have things that they have that are wonderful. They have the Riverwalk and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's important. Growth is important. Yes, ma'am, is that a hand?
Yes, ma'am. I was this is just an idea or thought or don't know this question. Because you talked about the sporting stuff that brings people here to the community, and then you also talked about how we don't have a railroad system, but we kind of do have the railroad eyesore. Through going through such a good community, cool area in our community. Have we ever thought about turning that into a running, walking trail?
A million times. And I will tell you that one of the things about railroads, they are almost like AT&T. Well, no, they're worse than AT&T. All of these utilities that go back for a millennial, 100 years or more, have incredible power structures that they gained back when they were the sole opportunity. So KCS, Kansas City Southern, has an enormous stroke in the legislative arena, and they also own the rights to their railroads, which they don't give up. Now, when I was a CAO, I had a 6-month tickler file that I would call them, email them, or contact them about every 6 months to say, gee guys, have y'all reconsidered about going rails to trails, rails with trails, or some other option along those lines? And the answer was always no, no, and no. And they haven't used that line in 10 years or better. It hadn't been active in 10 years or better. And so I'm recently in contact with them to see if you like this idea. You know, the rails are not in great shape, but so they couldn't carry like a haul of coal or a heavy load, but they might be able to carry a smart bus trolley. Would that be cool, going from the research park to what would now become the Cornerstone Park where the facility is? Go through downtown, hop off at the grill. Would that not be cool? That is so cool. God, I love it when I think of good things. But there's probably a lot of improvement needing to go with those rails. And so, you know, that'd be one of those costs that would have to be borne. But they won't even, I don't think they're even going to let go of that. But I'm also in contact with them about just getting a rail crossing, because that's extremely difficult to do as well. And where Cornerstone Park is going in, we really need a good northern entrance. And so I'm trying to see if they'll let me set up a crossing at that northern entrance to the park, which would be cool if we could do that. So anyway, I don't know. Would love to. Yes, absolutely. Would it cost a lot of money? Yes, absolutely. Would it be worth working on? Absolutely. So continue to have dialogue, and maybe one day they'll relent. We'll see. Yes, sir.
What did you fly in the Navy?
Well, as an operational pilot, I flew C-130s, T-39s, and C-1s. So if you Google any of those, the C-130 is still in use. It's a huge, wonderful airplane. It is a fabulous. Lockheed makes a dynamite airplane. In fact, the C-130 is about as good an airplane as has ever been built, just in terms of being a workhorse, being reliable, doing all the things you want it to do. I flew for Delta. I flew an L-1011, which is a Lockheed L-1011, and I stayed on that airplane as an engineer. I went to the right seat, and if they hadn't retired them, I'd have been sitting in the left seat. But unfortunately, they retired them right out from under me. It was a fabulous airplane. It was well ahead of its time. Lockheed just had some brilliant designers, engineers, etc. As a student aviator, I flew a T-27, oh good Lord, T-24, and a T-28, and then an S-2, which is actually the training equivalent of a C-1, which is the other thing that I was talking about flying, which was built even before I was born. And was flying logistics and doing anti-submarine warfare actually for some of that way back when. They were, that's what the S-2 is, a submarine, yeah. Well, no, S-3 Viking. S-2, darn it, I could Google it, but an S-2 something. C-1A Trader and an S-2 something that didn't come into me right now. But anyway, it was that. And a T-39 is a Saberliner bizjet. I flew admirals up and down Western Pacific from Atsugi, Japan, down to the Philippines. We went down to Australia, went down to Bangkok and up to Hong Kong and in those areas. But that was flying admirals and generals and stuff up and down the Western Pacific area. So it's cool.
Are you WOG or Sheldon?
Am I what?
WOG or Sheldon?
And I don't even know what he's talking about.
Okay.
What is it?
Did you get to cross the equator on a ship? Or?
Oh, no. I went on a ship. No, crossed it in an airplane. Yeah. But now that you say that, I know what you're talking about. Well, I thought you were going to go with brown shoe versus black shoe Navy, and I was brown shoe Navy. So, yeah. Okay. But yes, did cross the equator, but did it in an airplane. Nothing like the ordeal that you go through when you do it on a ship. That's just nasty. I've seen videos of that. I'm going, really? I mean, come on, people. So, yeah. Sailors with not enough to do get in trouble. Are you a sailor? Are you? Bless your heart. Bless your heart. Love it. Go Navy. So how was it? I assume you crossed?
Yeah.
Yeah? Did you abuse people?
Not that bad.
Oh yeah, not that bad, right? Okay, cool. Thank you for your service. Okay. Anybody else? Anything else?
And you don't have to go into a lot, but one of the things I know that people ask a lot is, why don't we have Olive Garden, or why don't we have chain
Target?
restaurants or chain stores?
No.
And a lot of it is population based.
Absolutely
which is, again,
population.
one of the reasons
Yep.
that the census is important.
Yes.
And
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, those numbers are important, and population from our perspective, you know, Tupelo's got the population and we don't. Even when you take all of Oxabaha County, and even if you draw the radius around, you know, and include Lowndes County and include West Point and et cetera, we still don't rise to the level of having enough to generate that, because it is still in close proximity to Tupelo. So I'm hopeful that we will have that growth, and I think we are seeing that growth. Again, attribute that to what's going on at the university with athletics, and then the things that make people want to come here and start businesses and grow their businesses here. So I think we've got some real opportunities. We've got industry that's been here for 40 years. Flex Steel, Garin, Nucor, which is now gone, but they're holding on to their building to come back. I'm coming to you. Hang on. Who is it that has the roll of wire? Southwire. There we go. Southwire. Yeah. So we've got some industry like that, but you know, it is not dormant. It's sort of static. It's not growing right now. So yes, sir.
How much do y'all, like, depend on college students to make a decision, like the Mississippi State? How much do y'all depend on it?
To make a decision?
Yeah, like, like students, like when we're not here.
Oh, when y'all are not here? I hate it when you're not here. Everybody else loves it when you're not here. I'm being silly. But when I grew up, as I was growing up, and this goes back to the Starkville that was the Stark. you know, we loved what y'all brought to us because you brought in the things that we could enjoy. But Starkville was great as long as the students weren't here. Well, if y'all weren't here, then we weren't great because we wouldn't have had all the stuff we had. So that's just silliness. You know, that's just short-sighted silliness. But we do plan, obviously we do plan around you. We plan to the size that y'all make us. When y'all are here in the spring and the fall and here, that's the reason I want to bring tournaments in the summer. When y'all are gone, we're dead. Let's bring some folks in, you know. So we want that activity. We hire the number of police up to the number of residents, and that includes y'all. We have 5 fire stations that are to service a town that has the students in it. So you know, all of that is making up the complement of how we do our business. So y'all are an integral part of how we do that business. This new space where we cut the ribbon today. We want to keep the flow going from the university to the campus or from the university to the city and back again. We want the kids who are either graduated or in the graduate program to be downtown, working in downtown. Energize our downtown with your activity and your desire to be a part of the community. It makes a difference. Man, it makes us all better. It makes us all better. You know, by the same token, I need y'all to appreciate those old people. You know, I need y'all to appreciate what we bring to the table as well. And notice I have never referred to myself as an old person until now. And then you start referring to yourself as an old person when you get older. But we need y'all to respect us, and we need to respect y'all and share in that ability to make the community a well-rounded community. And you know, usually you hear, I want a community that's the greatest place to live, work, and play. Well, I want the community that's the greatest place to live, work, play, and learn, because I'm incorporating learning as part of that whole lifelong thing, but it incorporates the university, it incorporates the new partnership school, it incorporates our public education system. Learning is a part of what we all need to be doing to make our community better, and that's a lifelong thing, y'all. If you think you're going to quit learning, then you're going to be a dull soul. Seriously. So, but yeah, we focus on you guys. We'd be derelict if we didn't. So y'all are a very important part of our community, and that blend matters greatly. And I respect what you bring to our city. Okay? Anybody else? Okay. Did we give you what you needed?
Yeah, one more thing, and this is something that you have mentioned a couple of times, and that is that somebody tweeted this at me, or they tweeted this at me. People tweet at you all the time.
Non-stop.
Non-stop. My water's off, there's a pothole, why are the medians on why did the city put the medians on Highway 12, which the city did not do? But again, and you respond to everybody.
If y'all tweet at me, or if you text me, or if you call me, if I don't respond to you, it will be an oversight on my part, for which I will apologize profusely. I try to absolutely respond to every one of them. That's one of the things I do at night while I'm watching Netflix or whatever the devil it is I do, feeding my dogs, you know, whatever. But I try to respond to all of that, because to me, that's part of my job, is to be very responsive. Have y'all ever heard of Nextdoor? Okay. Nextdoor is another one of those things. You know, you got that social media platform. Nextdoor is Facebook for subdivisions, or Facebook for neighborhoods. So you see things on Nextdoor, you see things on Facebook, you see things on Twitter. I'm less of an Instagram kind of gal, just because people don't seem to use it for getting in touch with me. But from my perspective, we are live streaming our board meetings. I'll respond to those when people kind of, you know, hone in on that. We are trying to be as absolutely out there in any kind of way. There is no subject that I will not talk about. There may be some subjects I can't talk about because they may be personnel related, they may be issues that are in litigation, but there is nothing that I won't give you my best answer on, or else I'll tell you I don't know, and I'll go find out the answer. I was in a lunch and learn yesterday. We were talking about annexation, which is one of the things I'm working on, which still is not going to bring the area Blackjack Pass roundhouse, or the roundabout, into the city. But I was talking about annexation, and some guy was asking me about how were our pumper trucks, because I was bragging on our fire department, right? We got the best fire department in the state of Mississippi. But he said, how are your pumper trucks going to give us good service out in the newly annexed territories when they're just pumper trucks and you don't have water lines installed yet and you don't have fire hydrants, and they pull their water off a fire hydrant? Well, I'm going, Well, I know they carry water on these pumper trucks. I thought they carried enough water to take care of a residential fire, not maybe a multifamily residential fire, but a residential fire. And he's looking at me like, yeah, you're a dummy. So I go, okay, my bad. I'm going to research that and I will find out, because apparently what we're going to need is not a container truck, pumper. Well, maybe it is a container. Anyway, we're going to need a truck that carries a tanker. There we go, tanker truck. We're going to need a tanker truck because we don't have enough water. You can't pull off of a water line that's a residential water line, potable water line, because if you do, you'll collapse the sucker. So you've got to lay water lines that are able to withstand that pull off of a fire truck. But in the meantime, if we don't get those water lines laid in a reasonable period of time, we're going to have to service out there, which we have done, but we've done it in conjunction with a volunteer fire department, right? So I talked to the chief, our fire chief, this morning, and I said, what is it going to take for us to at least purchase a tanker truck during this time frame, this interim time frame, while we're not able to service by virtue of having a fire hydrant? So we're researching that right now, is what that would be. And to me, that's our answer. But you got to put that stuff out there, and you got to say, I don't know. Because to me, there's no shame in not knowing, but there is shame in not finding out and not having an answer when somebody asks that question. So, that it?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thank you for the feedback, because I use it. I do. Because every time I learn from you guys, I figure out how to keep you in.